For the past 2 years, Jocko Fuel has been the only supplement I've consumed. It's helped me stay in shape now that my competitive career is finished. If you've been waiting to try Jocko, the wait is over. Jocko has now teamed with Walmart, bringing clean fuel to the entire nation. Jocko Fuel is loaded with all the good stuff and none of the bad. And I'm talking no added sugars, no artificial sweeteners, and absolutely no gray area or banned substances. Just pure, clean fuel to power your performances. Jocko Fuel is now available in Walmart nationwide. Products available at your local Walmart are Jocko Malt, ready to drink, Jocko Malt powder, and Jocko pre-workout. How convenient. Guys, the time is now. Consider trying some of my favorites like Jocko Go and Jocko Hydrate. You can even do it online. Use code CHAEL30 at JockoFuel.com or just stop by your local Walmart and get your hands on some Jocko ASAP. Don't wait, might not last. Fuel up with Jocko Fuel and crush your goals. Now there's no excuse for not having clean fuel. Guys, I want you to go get Jocko Fuel today at Walmart. If Jon Jones doesn't fight in November against Stipe, would Stipe accept a fight Tom Aspinall? And what an important question, right? Like, we haven't totally considered it from that standpoint, but very realistic. And would he? Anthony Smith weighed on that. And one thing that Anthony did not disclose, but I think that you guys should know, is Anthony and Stipe are very tight. Share the same manager. Like, if Anthony told you something about Stipe, it would be more than an opinion. It would essentially be the answer, right? Okay. And I only say that because Anthony almost was surprised he was being asked. Of course he would. Said in detail, Stipe's a regular guy. The only time he's focused and zeroed in on fighting is when he's fighting. He goes to practice every day, but he doesn't live in this. He has a wife, and he's got a family, and he's got a job, and you guys are well aware of the fire department, but he doesn't live in this. He's not clinging to Jon specifically. So, all right, that's the take, and that's the answer. But, I mean, wouldn't that be something? If Jon somehow, because all of the narrative, I even had to speak to this, there's some built-in idea that Stipe is not going to show, and almost that's a foregone conclusion. They're getting ready to make the announcement of Aspinall and Jon. I keep hearing this. I keep feeling it all around me. Go, where's this even coming from? But wouldn't that be something? What if it was Stipe and Aspinall? And first off, what if it's not? Well, if it's not, then I guess we're going to essentially play the same game with Jon and Stipe that we did with Tony and Khabib, or that we did more recently with Chandler and Conor. And we're just going to keep on spending time as opposed to following the golden rule of show business, which is the show must go on. And it does change things, though. Like, once you've already done it once, once you've already waited once, once I've already gone through this and I waited this long, perhaps it's easier to do that again. Interesting spot, right? I mean, somebody like Michael Chandler would have to come in and share this psychology with us because it hasn't been done many times. Where the promotion itself is willing to go, okay, what do you guys want to do? Chandler, you want to do something else? No? Okay, Conor, don't have you? Okay, we're just going to move it over here. Like, where the promotion is actually giving you the option. And what if Stipe didn't flinch, didn't hesitate, did go right in there with Tom? And the reason I say that is we were at this same venue, right? This fight's going to be in November, so by the time that comes around, November of last year, 1 year prior, in the exact same spot where Jon did not come. And there was a backup fighter. His name was Sergey Pavlich, but it wasn't even offered to Stipe. In fact, we were told that would be disrespectful to offer to Stipe because it would have been an interim championship. Now, it's the exact same, except instead of going against the non-champion for the interim title, you're going against the interim champion for the interim title. But same, right? So wouldn't that be something? Because Stipe never turned down Sergey Pavlich. He was never offered Tom, but he was never even put in that position. Dana made that clear. I didn't come here to take Stipe and Jon. I'm going to do that another time. And it would be an incredible case of irony if it turns out Stipe's answer and attitude would have been and is still, sure. So that just right there, I would find interesting, but it's the concept of asking the question in the first place. How did we get here? Like, one thing that has never been identified for us. What does it mean to be the backup fighter? What does that mean? But it's kind of important that we understand that. Like, it's a new regularity a new built-in function. Diego Lopez just had a tremendous victory, had a tremendous amount of attention, and with his opportunity to campaign for what's next, he actually lobbied to be the backup fighter for Topuria and Max, which he finally got done, and a whole press release and announcement was made. It was a big deal. So if we don't know what that means, how is it a big deal? How was an announcement made? How are we announcing something? What would that mean to announce something that doesn't come with a definition? Are you with me? So I've always thought, though I must admit, no one actually told me it, and now it's looking as though I thought wrong. I always thought if you had a backup fighter, the two principals have already agreed. That's already been discussed. That's already been negotiated. I don't know how else you could sign one of the contracts. Like, I don't know how the backup fighter would say, does he change? Well, if I get this guy, then it's this participation. If I get this guy, it's this. Or is it very clear, no, you're a backup for you. There's no, here's what, okay, great. But I'm just wondering, is that how that works? And then if you do have said backup fighter and everybody accepts that is the backup fighter, but when it's time to call upon the backup fighter, you've now got to go in and renegotiate and re-talk to somebody, which largely did get tested last year at the Garden. Sergey Pavlich was the backup fighter. He ended up fighting that night. Stipe Miocic was a principal fighter. He was there that night, as close to the cage as you could possibly get without being in it. But not only did they not get matched up, it wasn't even offered. So my thought about it's already been discussed in the unlikely event that we get here must not have been. So if it's a question of would Stipe fight Tom, then it's also a question of would Jon fight Tom? And if it's a question of would Jon fight Tom in the absence of Stipe, or would Stipe fight Tom in the absence of Jon, then we really don't have a backup fighter. We don't have a match at all. And I don't think that that's the correct answer either. I think that that interpretation would also be wrong. Then what is it? What does it mean? Is that a one-way negotiation? Which is another option. Might make sense based on the evidence that we have. Is it a one-way negotiation where the person, right now we're talking about Tom, we're also discussing Diego Lopez. That person has agreed and has worked something out with the organization, but the organization still has to do its other side. Is that all that it means? Is that all that it is? Hey, you're ready, you're on standby, and instead of just quietly doing that, we're going to alert you now so there's a full training camp. And like all fighters, when the day actually comes that we're going to give you something that you've begged for and told the world you want, you don't then go, oh, I'm not ready for it. Like, is that all that gets achieved here? We take away one excuse from the world's biggest excuse makers, which are cage fighters. Is that the intent and goal? And I'm simply asking the question. It would seem like a very strange thing to ask. I mean, I wouldn't think that I would need to ask that question, but including of Stipe. If you have Tom, and that's a backup fighter on this date, and there's a championship on the line, like if everything is the same, what would be the surprise? Where would the no come from? If the answer is no, I feel like we should know now, because that would also mean that Tom is not the backup fighter. Just purely by proxy of definition. And we tested this. Today it's on Stipe, but for the last 2 weeks it's been on Jon. Could it be Jon and Tom? But if that isn't something that's already agreed to, it's only been agreed to by Tom, that we really don't have a backup fighter. So we would then be left in a double-edged, confusing situation, believing, that interim champion, if nothing else, makes you next. We have the ability to eliminate that, and being the backup fighter would make you next. We got a guy that's both in one, and we're having a discussion of whether that could be activated. And we're being told, yeah, I think we could get that done. But I think we could get that done versus we have a guy in the event of is not the same statement. In fact, they're largely opposite statements. So what does it mean to be a backup fighter if it doesn't mean you will fill in for the guy that's hurt? If it doesn't mean that, what does it mean?